Some big decisions at the end of this year. Joel Sherman breaks it down better than anyone on the Inside Corner. Good morning to you. I would imagine if I'm a player, Joel, negotiating a contract, if I get a player option, I win, right? That's an asset. That's what you go for.
Right. Well, the big thing you go for is a long contract for a lot of money.
Yep.
If you can't get that, if you could get a lot of money short term and the ability to get back into the marketplace, there's a value to it because there's also a safety net. Let's just go through. Jordan Montgomery picked up his player option at the end of last season. He already needs Tommy John surgery, right? So he's got the player option for this year because he was able to do it. Mitch Haniger opted into his player option. He was released by Seattle in spring training. He gets paid this year. Lucas Giolito missed all of last year after Tommy John surgery. Opted in this year. Began the year with a hamstring injury. I'm sure he's going to pitch soon, but protected. And then there's a quirky one because the Yankees didn't do an extra year on Garrett Cole. And then he didn't initially opt in,
sure.
But then they agreed to live with the opt-in, and he's needed Tommy John surgery this year, so he's protected for this year and probably the beginning of next year. So there is value in that player option.
You know, it's so interesting. There's so many different outside factors for pitchers. How do you balance opting out with weighing how much more you can get? That's the name of the game.
So, let's run through a few, and I think you framed it well there, Lauren, because the first one we start with is Seth Lugo.
That's a perfect example.
Right, so he finished with second in the Cy Young last year when he proved definitively he was a starting pitcher. Nevertheless, 35 years old at the end of this season. I assume he'll opt out, but just in case he doesn't have a great year, he's got that ability to stay. And I always love this little quirk because I think there's a comparison. If you were around the Mets in 2015 and 16 when they made the playoffs, and they're DeGrom, Matz, Syndergaard, and Harvey, the guys who were hanging around were Zach Wheeler, who was hurt, and this guy who was a relief pitcher. Wheeler just got a 3-year extension at $126 million that starts this year at age 36. So it shows what I doubt because Lugo has the run-up that Wheeler does. But if he has another great year this year, I don't think the age would be held against him at a high level. I'll go to another one. Shane Bieber is coming back. This Sunday is the 1-year anniversary since his Tommy John surgery. He is, I texted with Chris Antonetti, their president of baseball operations. He's throwing off the mound. He's doing well. They're hoping they have him back by July. Remember, Matt Boyd rehabbed Tommy John surgery. They signed him in late June. They used him down the stretch last year. He started playoff games for them. So Bieber is the kind of guy who could come back, and if it doesn't go well, he's got a player option for next year. I believe at about $16 million. And the last one I'll highlight is a really fascinating one, is Edwin Diaz, because he has 2 player options for 26 and 27, $18.5 million each year, Lauren. But he must decide at the end of this year if he wants to pick them both up.
Or decline both.
Or decline both and get back into free agency. And it's always tricky. He had kind of a roller coaster year last year. He's been good in his 2 outings so far this season. How good a year would he have to walk away from $37 million assured in 26-27? So it's one of those things like, especially here in New York, you'll follow over the course of the year.
Do we see that a lot? 26 and 27 have to pick up or decline both?
Usually it's a one or the other.
Sure. Okay.
And I give you one. I know we're going to move to hitters here,
Let's
right?
do it.
I'll give you one where it was one or the other. Is Cody Bellinger, right? Is the Cubs had to decide. He had to decide at the end of last year whether he would opt in or not. He opted in. He got traded to the Yankees. He has yet another player option for next season, and I think he's kind of landed in baseball heaven for him. He's going to hit in front of Aaron Judge in a ballpark made for him at Yankee Stadium. I would think he will have the kind of year that will have him, unless there's injury or something freak, go back out in the marketplace. Big story in New York. The other side, Pete Alonso. He didn't get that long-term contract he was looking for. So he did a shorter term, 30 this year, a $24 million player option last year. If his season looked anything like yesterday when he took one good at bat after the other and then hit the most besides a homer to tie the game, 3-run shot in the, the 8th inning, will he go back out in the market? Tricky thing, of course, does Vlad Guerrero get out in the market and crowd first base with a younger, potentially better player? But I would think he'll have a good enough year to be able to do this. And last but not least, I know people will say, do Alex Bregman because he's got 2 player options coming up. He's got the $40 million a year. I'm going to do somebody else. I'm going to do Ha-Seong Kim just because he's like a little bit the Shane Bieber here. He had shoulder surgery. He's rehabbing. He's probably a mid-season guy. Does he come back strong enough that he says, I want to go back out on the market? He's kind of a wins above replacement darling, a war darling. Does he do enough in a half season to get back out in the market? If not, he's protected by that $16 million.
That's so interesting. Can he play well enough
to convince himself and his agency to go back out into the market?
In the few short months, there's this narrative that we always say they can bet on themselves. There's
Yes.
obviously outside factors. Fascinating. Thank you so much. You're going to stick around.
Let's go, Pave.
Well, look, can we start this segment with, can me and D-Row get a GQ shoot?
I mean, if you throw
Give us your
100,
pose.
even have won my entire life and
Give us
never
your
got
pose.
it.
For the record, I've had one back in the day when I was good. Not because I was handsome. I was good and got asked to do it. I'm going to see if I can work one up in our older age because I think we're some handsome devils, D-Row.
I agree. And I don't want to take this guy for granted. I mean, this is probably, arguably, the greatest pitching prospect to come around in the last 25 years, and he's meteoric rise to the big leagues, and every time out he's dominant.
Yeah, look, let's just pull the full screen up and show you how dominant. Since you have all the hype and talk, but when you get to the big leagues and you deliver like Paul Skeens has delivered, it's truly remarkable. And you see right here, first or second in everything since he's been on the scene.
Sub-2 ERA in the show.
Right, not his time to the plate. That's his ERA. Right? Look at the ground ball. Not many people understand that he is 7th in the league at getting ground balls. All right, look, we know who Paul Skeens has been. Let's talk about Paul Skeens, and I'll show you the competitor he is. Paul Skeens is so competitive, and I absolutely love it. Watch this. This is Pepio getting out of the first inning. Pittsburgh's off 4 straight losses. Look at my guy. Pepio's not off the field, and my guy's on it. Give me my mound and get in the box. Let's go, right? Paul Skeens, I see you. Watch Magnum. Great at bat. Yells right here. Look at Skeens. You yelling at me?
Yeah, don't be yelling when you're trying that.
Well, you yelled it because he tipped the ball off and the catcher held on to it.
I know, and Mangum's gotten off to a great start.
But don't yell when Paul Skeens is on the mound unless you want 6'6", 260 to come at you, right? Now let's talk about what he's doing with the ball. When you think Paul Skeens, D-Row, you think power, you think stuff. You don't think deception, you don't think movement.
No.
Look at this movement right here. We're talking about arm side break and slinker arm side break, 15, 16 inches. And then this is a big thing I'm going to get to here, the arm angle, the 4-seam arm angle and the splinker arm angle.
So he's dropped his arm angle?
Well, look, last year you're at 22 and 19 with the splinker. You're at 25 and 19. Now both pitches are coming out of the same slot. 2025. You see this?
Yes.
That's the deception I'm talking about. You cannot tell a difference from these fastballs. And now let's go. Give me the split screen of him delivering balls. And these were hard to get to because we didn't have any home starts. But you'll see just the arm angle in 2024, hand positioning a little bit higher. Just look at the shoulder.
Yeah.
Type in on his shoulders, and you can see the shoulder on the right's a little bit. So he's down a little bit this year is what I'm getting at.
Cleaned up, though.
He's cleaned up, and now what I'm saying on 2025 is the fastball, splinker, slider, it's all coming out of that slide. Roll the tape, and let's show you what Paul Skeens is doing. This is his first start of the year down in Miami, D-Row, and I want to show you when it gets to this pitch. Watch this. This opened my eyes. 1-0. Whoa! This is 98. Look at this. Watch this ball out of the hand. That's right down the middle. That's off the plate. That's a power sinker. That ball's running and sinking.
You better be pulling the trigger on that, Bride. 1-0.
And watch what happens when you pull the trigger.
Go!
You're in trouble.
You pull the trigger off that, you are fouling that off your shin. You might as well go out to the garage, take the hammer, and go boom, and then walk around the rest of the day.
I love it right here. You see, this is at 98 miles an hour as well, right? And I just wanted to show that. Look at the other velocities on this board. He is heads and tails doing this kind of movement with plus velocity. Let's go to the tape yesterday, and I want to get just right into that. And I cut this tape last night, but here's Yandy. This is the first.
I was watching this jam sandwich at third.
Can he do it to lefties? Absolutely. Dotting it in there, moving it, bringing it back. Stop it right here. This is that splinker. Back it up just a little bit and get it to where he's releasing the ball. This is the equalizer, is the splinker. You sit on that fastball, you cannot tell. That's just like this fastball coming out, and you can run it, start it here. But this comes directly off that fastball, and look, that's the changeup. This is a little bit harder than the splinker's 93 to 95. You see, guys are just over it, have no chance. Does he throw it to righties? Absolutely. And you see what happens. They hit it on the ground. The slider, he only threw a couple sliders and sweepers. He throws it to righties and lefties. This is the one thing that I think he's going to get better at. Stop the tape right here for me, just 1 second. The slider, he's going to get better at. It's not his best pitch. He does get some swing and miss on it. It's really fastball, four-seamer, and the splinker. The slider is going to get better, and you better look out for Paul Skeens. We talk about a competitor. We talk about him moving the ball in and out in the round. We talked about the velocity he does it at. Watch him finish. This is yesterday. You've got a 1-run lead in a 3-0 count. You got to make pitches in a bandbox of a ballpark. Get back in the count. Look at the splinker. I mean, this is when you have to throw strikes and you're throwing your secondary pitch, and then there it is again. Watch this. This is pitch 101. It's 98. This is pitch 102 from a 3-0 count to sit down.
It's like, from a hitter's perspective, I get chapped because it's like, you only get one shot against a guy like him. You get in a 3-1 count, I'm swinging. I'm hacking.
You got to be cheating. But I think what that shows is it shows he's ultra competitive, but it shows the deception, D-Row. When guys get in 3-1 counts,
they're not taking great swings.
They're not seeing the ball. It's by him. It's up and it's down. I just want you to realize that Paul Skeens is a complete pitcher. He's working into somebody who's going to be even better when the slider and the cutter that he's working on gets to be more in play, and he's mixing a true 4-pitch mix. I would like him to find something in that 10-mile-per-hour range. Sometimes the fastball is 98 miles an hour, and that splinker is 95. Because of the movement and depth, if he can start getting something 10 miles an hour and really start playing.
You know, guys,
out
depending
for it.
on your age, maybe you didn't see Koufax or Gibson or Drysdale, but like if you're a baseball fan now, potentially you're watching an all-time great.
Yeah, it's
I
like,
mean, potentially.
you are. It's like Tom Seaver, right?
Yeah,
Like leg
no, that's really
priming.
cool. I mean, good stuff, guys.